Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ag Literacy Week 2022. This is our sixth annual event, and we have over 205 different classrooms with us today. So I am Cassidy, and I would like to give a brief overview of what we'll be doing. So first, we'll be listening to Pennsylvania Farm Bureau's president, Rick Ebert. He will be reading My Family's Soybean Farm to his grandchildren. Afterwards, we'll listen to a story after we listen to the story, we'll be showing you a video of how soybeans are processed at a historic feed mill called Ross Feeds, and this business started back in the 1800s. When the video is finished, we'll go live to Brown Hill Farms, where you'll get to meet our farmers and see some of the equipment, maybe some animals. Now, Farmer Scott and Farmer Rick will be taking questions from all of you. So make sure your teachers put any questions that you have in the Q&A box, and then we'll ask the questions to the farmers for you. Now, afterwards, we'll add the webinar to the website so you can go back and watch, and if your classroom has to leave early, you can see the whole thing. So with that, we're ready to begin. So let's go over to Mr. Ebert.
In classrooms here this week.
Mr. Ebert, we can't hear you.
Good morning, everyone. We're really excited to have everyone here this morning. This is our sixth annual Ag Literacy Week. We're here in Tucanic, Pennsylvania, at the Scott Brown Farm at Brown Hill Farms, and we also have Karen Harmer for Ross Feeds. We had over 1,400 readers this week in the classroom, and we're really excited about what we're going to do today, and hope you enjoy it and sit back and listen to our story.
Okay, so now we will be switching over and listening to our story, My Family's Soybean Farm.
Today we're Family's Soybean Farm by Katie Alhoff and the art by Joe Hawks, and it is printed by the Feeding Mind Press. This is our book today. Hi, I'm Alexander, and my parents are farmers. We live on a farm where we grow pigs, corn, and soybeans. We plant the soybeans in the spring. Our tractor pulls a planter, and the planter drops soybean seeds in the soil. Inside the tractor, computers keep track of where the seeds are planted. Our tractors have GPS technology. They can even steer themselves. A few days later, the seeds sprout and soybean plants begin to grow. All plants need sunlight and water. The leaves absorb sunlight. The roots gather water and nutrients. Soybean plants have many tiny white or purple flowers. The flowers are about the size of your little pinky fingernail. After the flowers wilt, pods begin to grow. The pods are the fruit of the soybean plant. Each pod usually has 3 beans inside. The beans are the seeds. They are harvested and used for other purposes like food for humans or animals. In the summertime, we use remote-controlled drones to check our soybeans. The drones fly over the fields and take pictures or videos of the soybean plants. We check to make sure our soybean plants are healthy. Bugs, weeds, and fungi can damage our soybeans. We also walk through our fields to check the soybean plants. This is called crop scouting. Uh-oh, these soybean plants have been damaged by aphids. We use a safe, gentle bug spray to get rid of the harmful diseases. And this is our sprayer that we spray the stuff on to take care of the bugs. In the fall, the soybean plants finish growing. When the soybean pods are dry and hard, we harvest them. There are several steps to remove the soybeans from the field. In the past, farmers did each part separately. But our combine does all 3 steps. It cuts the stem, it takes the plant inside the machine and cracks the pods and separates the beans from the rest of the soybean plant. The beans are put in the wagons and taken to grain bins. The grain bins help the soybeans dry where we sell them. We sell our soybeans to a processor. The processor makes the beans into food for animals. Soybeans have a lot of protein in them. Protein helps animals grow. Our pigs eat food that contain crushed soybeans. Turkeys and chickens, cattle and fish also eat food made from soybeans. Even our dog Charlie's pet food has soybeans in it. Farmers in the United States grow a lot of soybeans. Some of the soybeans are used by American farmers and processors. Processors also sell our soybeans to farmers around the world to feed livestock. Barges and trains take soybeans to countries like Mexico and China. Most soybeans are used for livestock food, but we eat food made from soybeans too. Have you ever tried soy sauce? It's made from soybeans and it's delicious. And the oil from soybeans can be made into cooking oil or into diesel, biodiesel. Soybeans are also used to make ink, crayons, and glue. Next year we will grow corn in this field instead of soybeans. That's called crop rotation. See, our first year we plant the beans and it's growing, and then we harvest them, and then we're in the winter now. So next year we'll plant corn, the corn growing, and harvest the corn, and then the cycle will start over again. That's the end.
Okay, and now we will be looking at our video with Karen from Ross Feed Mill.
Hi, I'm Karen. Welcome to Ross Feeds. The feed mill was built approximately 1868. Commodities now come on a truck and into the elevator and up into the feed mill in every bin that we use. Once a truck comes into the feed mill, they will actually come over to this pit, and underneath is an auger, and it augers it into the elevator, up to the top, and into the feed mill. What's above our head, there's augers in there, and again, every one of these different holes is a different commodity. The feed that we are making downstairs right now is a dairy farmer, and he is currently taking 6 tons of feed, so that's 12,000 pounds, and that will last him approximately 2 weeks. These little buckets are the same thing that brings the commodities into the feed mill that's out in the elevator, except they're on a bigger scale. Okay, so this is our soybean cracker. What you saw upstairs brings it down here, and it crimps it into this. So these are the soybeans. As you can see, they're whole. On the mixing floor, I have set our weigh cart to be 100 pounds. These are the soybeans. As you can see, they've been cracked in half. They're no longer whole. So this is soy meal. This is the bean that you saw upstairs, brown. It's taken the heads, has the oil taken out of it. This is bag feed that we make and sell to the public. Everything is tagged, whether it's for dairy, for cattle or for beef cattle, for deer feed, for horse feed. Everything has a tag, which is kind of like the calories and the fat that are listed on your food. That's the dairy feed that they were making while we were upstairs looking around. So that is going up and into the mixer that's straight ahead of us. From there they'll put molasses on. So that dairy feed that you just saw coming out of the one mixer has now had molasses on. And you can see how much darker it is. It's now being fed into this bulk truck, and the driver will take this to the farm.
So So it's pretty cool to get to see all the different steps that's involved in soybeans. So now we're going to head over to the farm with Farmer Rick and Farmer Scott.
So welcome back. I have with me Farmer Scott Brown. He's going to talk about some of his equipment, some of his animals he has. So I hope you enjoyed the book, and we'll be excited to hear some questions from you. But I'll turn it over to Scott right now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Farmer Scott. Welcome to Brownhill Farms. I hope everybody's having fun. So today we're learning about soybeans. Right here I have some soybeans in the garden seed.
Looks like we have a little bit of an issue with our video, and they're back on. Okay. Farmer Rick and Farmer Scott, we can't hear you.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So can you hear Farmer Scott now too?
Farmer Scott, could you say something? I don't think we can hear you.
Now?
Now I can.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's.
Hang on, I'm gonna switch over to the audio one.
Talk that.
How's that? All right, how's everybody doing? As Rick said, my name is Farmer Scott. Welcome. Hope you're enjoying the day. Today we're going to talk a little bit about soybeans, which I have some in my hands. And as you saw the video from the feed mill produces feed for animals. So we're going to walk over here and we're going to introduce you to a few of my goats. Michelle, what's her name? Sweet Pea?
This is Otis Sport.
Otis and Sport.
All born on the farm last year.
These were all born on the farm last year. And if you visited our farm in the summer, you got to see them when they were about this big. They could almost fit in this cup. So they were pretty cute. So standing in front of us is the tractor. That is our soybean planter. And we're going to see how this operates today. So we're going to get behind it where it's safe.
As this machine goes through the field, it makes a little slot, and it puts soybeans in this little groove, just like this, and then it covers them, and that's where they start their life. So they'll start their life, and they'll come out of the ground in about 7 to 10 days. And from there, they just grow like crazy. So the next step in the process is spraying herbicide. And this is our sprayer. It sprays 90 feet wide. And it knows where it's at in the field at all times by the yellow thing on top. That is a GPS receiver. And that feeds the information to a computer inside and tells the machine where it's at, how much product we're putting on, and how many acres we're doing, and the speed that we're traveling at. So we record all that data, from year to year, and we can tell what's going on, and we are able to make a much better crop that way. So after the soybeans are harvested, it goes into the grain bins. And that's where we store all of our grain. The bin in front is a dryer. And when the grain comes in a little bit high in moisture, it puts heat to the grain and dries it out so we can store it safely and it will not mold. And we can store it for a year easy. So when we're taking it to the feed mill, the grain goes up to the top of the bucket elevator and comes all the way down into the truck. And right there, we're loading some corn right now. And that's headed to the feed mill today to be processed for the animal feed. Next, we're gonna go see a tractor steer itself. So I control this steering and this tractor with my phone. As you can see, we already made a path. So we're gonna start driving ahead. And I'm gonna push a button. And I am not steering this tractor. It is steering itself. And you can see on the screen where the tractor is. It knows where it's at. And it knows what we're putting down. As you can see, we are making a complete circle, and I have not touched the steering wheel at all. Now we made it, and we're done. How was that? That was neat.
Farmer Scott, we have a
Right.
question.
Okay.
How old do you have to be to drive a tractor?
I think if you're not family, it's 14, and you need to take a test, farm safety test. So you have to have a certification.
Oh.
So next we're gonna go see our newest piece of machinery to the farm. It's gonna take a second. So this is a spraying drone. And what we are going to use it for is corn disease, soybean disease, and we're going to be putting cover crop on. So a cover crop protects our soil all winter long. And in the north where we live, we have a hard time getting cover crop on after we take the crop off. So this is going to allow us to go into the crop when it's growing and put seed out so it can start growing and protect our soil.
Fasten all arm locks securely to prevent potential safety risks.
Here we go. And we're going up. We can do a spin. Go forward. It can go backwards. And it can go side to side. And we're going to try spraying with it. Everybody ready? I just have water in there. There it is. Can you see the vapor? I hope so.
A little bit.
Yeah. Maybe.
Is it are the water drops really small or are they
They're
big?
very small. They're very small. It is almost like a fog. That's why it's pretty hard to see.
Is it hard to use the remote control and like hard to learn how to do it?
It is actually very easy. And let me get it down and I'll shut it off and I'll explain it a little bit more. All right. So with this, I can walk around a field and put points on all corners. And this will actually automatically make its own flight path. So once I have the flight path set up, I push a button and it automatically flies to the field. It automatically flies until it's empty and automatically comes back. I don't have to touch anything. It is amazing what this can do. So I think that's all of the soybean demonstrations.
That's pretty cool. We have a couple more questions. How fast does the drone go?
This is not a really fast drone. I think the max speed would probably be about 15 miles an hour with this one.
That makes sense.
And it typically will not fly much over 20 or 30 feet. And it has a radar, it has a full radar. As you can see, the camera's getting close to it. And I'm not sure whether you heard it, but it said obstacle detected. So as it's flying, if it sees something in its path, it'll just stop. So it does not crash. So it has a 360-degree radar, so it can see all the way around it. Let me see if I can take it back up again.
Aircraft preparing to take off. Stand back at a safe distance. People or obstacles detected.
Can everybody see the screen? We're looking at
Maybe a little closer. I think
Let's
we
see if
can
I can
see
wait.
it then.
There we are. There we are, right here. Can you see me waving?
A little bit. We can
A little
see
bit.
we can
Yeah,
see the doors and the big things.
No.
Very cool. Is it expensive to buy a drone? And how big is it?
It is very expensive. It is about 8 feet by 9 feet. I can stand by it. Can you get an idea how big it is?
Yeah, wow.
It's big.
Can it, yeah. Is it strong? Can it carry a lot?
It can carry about 70 pounds. And it hauls 8 gallons of material.
Very cool. Those are most of the drone related questions we have. We do have one back about sorry, how is the tractor built? Like, how does that work that it can drive itself?
So the tractor also uses GPS. And so it also knows exactly where it is at all times. Just like your GPS when you're driving with your parents down the road and it knows where your car is all the time. It's the same thing in the tractor. It knows right where we're at. And it's hooked up to the steering wheel with a motor that turns, and it automatically turns the steering wheel, and that's how it drives.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We have some other questions about soybeans and farms. Maybe while we're talking, we have a couple of requests to see the goats and maybe other animals a while. But is it hard being a farmer?
It is hard being a farmer. We have very long days. In the summer, it's 16 days, pretty normal, 16-hour day. Farmer has to know how to do everything in business. We don't just concentrate on one thing.
How old do you have to be to work there, and how do you get started?
So again, it's 14 years old if you're not family. And you just need to go to school and get work papers.
Sounds like almost anyone can do it once they're a little older.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's your favorite job on the farm? Favorite thing to do?
I love to spray. To me, it's very enjoyable.
I'd say the most favorite thing for me on the farm is when I'm out planting in the fields in the springtime. Like you saw how the soybeans were planted. It's so great to go out, get into the field, plant those soybeans and watch them grow throughout the year. So it's really awesome to see what nature can do.
Cool. When you plant soybeans, when do you plant them? When do you harvest them? And how big do they get?
So we start planting around May 1st here because we're in the north. It's a little bit cool.
Farmer Scott, can you unmute real quick?
There. That good? So we start planting around May 1st here where it's cooler. The further south in Pennsylvania you move, they'll start in early April to mid-April. Our typical harvest is middle of October. And again, if you live a little bit further south, you might get started a little bit earlier. The soybeans can be anywhere from knee high to, I've seen them this high already. So 5 feet.
Wow, that can get pretty big.
Yeah, they can.
How many soybeans do you plant every year, and how big is your farm? How many acres?
So we farm close to 1,500 acres, and we have about 500 acres of soybeans and 500 acres of corn and 500 acres of hay. We also grow sunflowers. We have 5 acres of tulips, and we plant pumpkins.
That's pretty cool. That's a lot. Can you plant like corn and soybeans, for instance, in the same field together?
There are some people that are experimenting with that. We don't, but it is possible. It is very possible.
Of someone who says this farm is cool. Do you ever take a vacation?
I do take vacations, actually. Yes. When I was milking cows, so we milk cows here on the farm from the time I was born till about 15 years ago. And we didn't take too many vacations. But since then, yes.
That's probably good. How about animals? So you have a lot of different plants. How many animals do you have on your farm and what kinds?
We mostly have goats. We have a pony, some cattle. We have Highland cattle, which are very hairy and have big horns. They're pretty neat. We have chickens, dogs, cats. That's about it.
That's pretty cool. Can a class or kids come visit your farm?
Yes, when we are open for our festivals, we have room for classes. They just need to schedule.
Very cool. That's neat. How many people work there?
So right now there's 3 generations working on the farm. My father, myself, and my son. And we have 1 other full-time employee and a part-time employee. And sometimes in the summer we have a lot of other part-time employees, but that's the most.
Interesting. We have a request to see the pony if that's possible.
No, it's in another barn and it's too muddy here. We've wanted to have all the animals out for everybody, but it's just way too muddy.
That makes sense. Is it always really muddy and like how bad does that get? Is it annoying?
It's very muddy in the spring, but otherwise typically it is not.
So tractors are really big. How do they not crush all the plants when you drive them through?
That is a very good question. Very good question. So the corn planter plants in rows and they're 30 inches wide. So they're about this wide. And if you look at the tires, I don't know if you can see that far, but they're about 15 to 20 inches. And they're all set up so they can drive right between the rows. Now with the soybeans, the way that planter plants them pretty thick, we drive over those. It does run over some of the crop, but every time we go back into the field, we stay in the same track. So it doesn't run them over every time you go into the field.
That's interesting. So we in the book we saw that you can make crayons and oil and all kinds of things out of soybeans.
Yes.
How
Yes.
many different places do you deliver your soy products to?
We deliver to 2 different places, the feed mill. So all those get roasted through a hot air, and those all go for cattle feed. And the other place we take it crushes the soybeans and draws the oil out of it. And the oil is used for many, 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 many products. And the oil is also used for cooking. Probably your parents cook at home. They make some biodiesel for your vehicles. And it also goes for animal feed, the oil.
Interesting. Do you sell things at your farm or at a farmer's market or just send it out?
We do both. We also have produce. So we grow sweet corn. So we have some roadside stands that we sell stuff there.
So when you're making oil, how does that work? Like, does the oil just come out of the beans or what?
They are pressed under extremely high pressure. Maybe, do you know much about it, Rick?
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually a really high pressure, called an extruder that
I can hear.
So what they go through is a high pressure excluder, what it's called. And as they go through, the pressure is really high and it almost comes out of liquid form. And then it's separated from the dry part of the soybean, and the oils sort of drained away from it. So it is a very high pressure machine to extract the oil out of it. A heavy duty press.
Makes sense. Probably has to be very strong. So how old is your farm? And you said your father worked there. What's the history of it?
So the farm has been in our family since about 1850. So a long time, 125, 7 years, something like that. Long time.
A couple more questions. We'll have to wrap up pretty soon, but I do just want to say if any classes still have questions, we can send them and you'll get the answers back later. But what other tools and stuff do you have? What do you need to use to work on a farm?
Well, we have a shop because we do all of our own mechanic work. So if something breaks, we put it into the shop, and we have lots of tools there. I'm not sure if you can see the harvester. We have a couple different harvesters. Fertilizer spreaders, lots and lots of machinery, unfortunately.
Very cool. And so with that, we're almost out of time. So do either of you have any final remarks that you would like to make to our classes?
I just wanted to say we were so excited to have so many children join us this year. We always enjoy talking about the farm and showing you the different facets of agriculture. And hope you get a more interest in agriculture. There's a lot of great careers ahead of you if you want to get into agriculture. And just we always look forward to getting into and seeing you, and we hope you join us next year. And we want to thank Farmer Scott and Karen for hosting us today.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate it.